Okay, let's get right into this because this is a pretty serious thing. Basically, Donald Trump went after particular categories of disabled individuals. And, the classic CNN, MSNBC, the left went after him with an absolute aggressive stance. How dare you? And they found people to say quotes about how their impairment wouldn't limit them to do things and yada, yada, yada. Now, I'm going to go directly to the quote because the iPad isn't working. I was going to show it to you, but he did a press briefing. This is what his quote was. I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. He said the FAA's website states they include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism. Mr. Trump added that people in those categories would be qualified for controller positions, even though the agency's statement does not say that. Now, a lot of people feel, and what's getting a lot of attention is the dwarfism, but a lot of people feel that this was an attack on disabled people and that Trump should be ashamed of himself. But I need to be fair with you guys about this. Right up front, there are certain types of jobs that require the highest level of human being. What do I mean by that? I mean individuals with full mental capacity, full physical capacity, that are not blind, people who are not inhibited or not restricted in any way, right? They have to be able to do the job using all sensory functions. And it is weird that we have evolved as a society to shame the fully capable people at the expense of those who are not capable of doing the job when human life is involved. Here's why. I want to give you an example. Most people do not understand how, and I'm going to quote the category here, severe intellectually disabled individuals work. They have a plethora of different types of impairments, anxiety, depression, panic attacks. You could have schizophrenia. You could have, bipolar. You could have all kinds of things, PTSD, very common one. All right. The way it works, and I'm going to give you an example, and some of you, and I'm going to give some space in there for you to answer, are going to guess the right thing, but most of you will guess the wrong thing. The hypothetical as posed is that a severely mentally unstable individual, an impaired individual, okay, we'll just use, severe as within the guidance of the Social Security Administration under the SSA code used for SSDI benefits and SSI benefits, regular disability, poverty disability. We're using their definition of severe here, okay? A severe individual who's mentally unsound sits at a table. The table has a button on it. The button will go ahead, if pressed, it will end the lives of 15 people. Let's say half of them, they know who they are. The other half, they don't. And they are to sit at that table and make a choice about whether to push that button or not. Now, if you don't tell them what the amount of time that they're required to sit at that table is, that's an important factor. So they're sitting there. They're sitting at the table. They've got a button. There's 15 people. Half of them they know, half they don't know. Cool. My question to you is, will they push the button? I'm going to give you a little space here. I'm going to give you the space that you need to think about whether or not that individual, the common, severely impaired mental individual, right? And I'm not saying low IQ, right? We're taking low IQ out of the option. Low IQ for these jobs doesn't make sense. They won't pass the tests that they need to. They won't be able to read the things that they need to. That's out. Okay. But we're talking about individuals with, anything from confusion, mental fog, difficulty focusing, etc., flashbacks, nightmares, individuals that are panic attacks, are prone, they're having these heavy breathing episodes, they're crying and sobbing out of nowhere. We're talking about those individuals. We see some people saying no. We see a lot of people saying no. MD said Trump would. There you go. Just give it to him right there. Puerto Rican Mike said no. Joseph Newcomb said no. Angela Alston said yes. They won't understand the gravity of the situation. Okay, so Angela's a little bit more keyed in on this. Okay, all right. So this is good. This is good. People who are mentally unsound, one of the classic tendencies is that they don't understand the repercussions of the choices that they make. So if they make a choice, they won't understand the good or the bad, although we always focus on the bad. They won't understand the good or the bad of the outcome of it. But that's not completely why. It's part of it. That's not completely why they push the button. They push the button. And I know you guys are thinking, no, they won't. No, almost every single time they will push the button because as they are sitting there, inside them, whatever imbalance exists, it will grow and grow and grow and grow until they have that relief. It's like a drug user. That need will grow and grow and grow and grow inside them until they take action. They are seeking a solution. It's like somebody with a lot of pain, right? They go take pain meds. They go buy something from a C300, Rastafarian guy to go ahead and make themselves feel better. Or at least that's how it usually is in Florida. So the bottom line is they're seeking release, right? Now, let me give it to you in another way. Let me phrase it another way. That way everybody can be on board with this. That individual, right, that basically is facing this situation, a hypothetical, they've got a button in front of them, they're mentally severely impaired, and 15 people, half will, the half they know, half they don't, 15 people will be lost. What happens is this: if you sit them down, they are measuring internally in their body the shakes, the tremors, the electrical signals, how much they can take it to act normal, to act like what other people think they should act like. And their ability to fight that off, of that feeling of like, I have to act normal. I have to act normal. And then the ability to feel like, okay, I have to I have to get out of this situation. I have to stop being judged. That pushes them into this fight or flight situation. To them, they're sitting there not realizing that the bubbling extreme in their brain that they have to do something to get out of the situation forces them to make a choice. Now, you could say, well, they will stand up and they will walk away. But that's not the option we gave them. We've got a button. They're sitting there, 15 people, half they know, half they don't. They perish if you push the button. Almost every single time they will push the button because they are not able to control their inner desires, which are extremely strong. Now, a lot of people don't realize how strong they are. Okay, smokers get it. They get how bad it is when they try to smoke. But users and abusers, heavy drugs, it's a totally different ballgame. Completely different ballgame. My point to you is it's something that the grand majority of Americans don't realize. And that is because America is filled with opportunities. It's filled with ways to get out of a situation that you're in. A famous phrase that I like, which has become more difficult, especially over the past, couple of years, has been always, what can capitalism do for you? How can you force capitalism to be your little bitch and get things done that you want to get done? In other countries, they don't have that. They don't have capitalism where you get to use it and, push the barrier, push those lines to make it do what you want. I was talking with a person the other day. They're like, all I want to do is do this and this nonprofit thing and this and this. And I was like, so why haven't you done it? And they're like, I just, nobody's going to help me and da 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 da. And this was a totally capable, functional person. This was not a seriously mentally impaired person. But what happened was they believed they would fail before they would even start. I was willing to donate a small amount to their cause, the nonprofit, the future nonprofit that they would have, because it was a great idea. And that kind of brings me to my next point with this whole situation. Okay. You have to understand the two identities that pop up in American politics and that breed and weave themselves into the DNA of Americans. Republicans tend to be bad at gauging how they are different from someone else. They tend to be bad at that because they perceive things from their mental standpoint. They perceive things from where their shoes are planted, from their genetic makeup, into their understanding of the situation, and they believe that that other person should make a decision like they would have. So you hear a lot of Republicans will usually say, I can't believe how stupid, I can't believe how they could, I can't believe they did this or that, or didn't they understand, blah, 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 blah. What you have to understand is that a lot of people come from a different background. So they don't always realize that someone has a different background, different intellectual quotient, or different financial option available to them. Remember, if I gave any one of you, which I don't have, so don't expect it, $10 million, right? The bottom line is you would make different choices in your life from that moment forward, going forward into the future. Okay. That is absolutely key. That is that you have to understand that you would be a different person. Not saying that Republicans have $10 million each, but I'm just saying That is a classification of something that would change your decision platform and chain of thought going forward. Now, so when someone, does something relatively stupid, the Republican might see the choice as hypermoronic, which gives them an air of superiority that makes people usually less likely to like them. Right? That's why they seem like a little bit on the fringe of that's a little that's a little more, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. Now, Democrats on the other side tend to be bad at boundary realities, like defining a woman or explaining the need for equity through forced racism against the majority of people, like what they did to my people in World War II, the Jewish people, or being willing to put dangerous people in human life held vocations. What are human life held vocations? It is a job where the person holds the life, right? The actual thing that holds the soul in place. They hold the capacity of power over the body by which that soul will either continue in or not. They're not so great at that assessment pool. As an independent, I get to see both sides. One is very quick to judge, which makes them better at aggressive analysis and leadership. And one is good at including everyone, which makes them kind of an anti-capitalism, but great pro at nonprofit civil appreciation goals for society. You need both in America. You need the Democrats to give you bold, out there, maybe this is a good idea, ideas. And you need Republicans to hold the reins and say, whoa, that is some crazy bleep. We are going to try part of that. We are going to try none of that. You need the two creating that back and forth, because movement, just like the smallest particles on planet Earth, the things that we're all made of, stardust, they move and wiggle. And that is what creates the potential for life through the full evolution of the creation of black holes and planets and suns and universes and the cosmos and any potential versions of theoretical existences beyond that. That is what creates it, movement. And if we do not have Democrats pushing Republicans to get out of their friendly, happy, I feel good in my little spot zone, then we will never move forward. You need both. So it's not natural that Republicans, want individuals that have limitations to do these types of jobs. That's where Trump's coming from, right? It is natural for Democrats to give to all people, all options, full equity, full equality, full inclusion, full all this, to give everybody a shot at it. So my question to you is, when I give you these jobs, I'm going to give you the jobs, and then you need to go ahead and tell me, do you feel somebody who is in a behavioral institute should be able to, so let's say every 4 months, they're in the behavioral institute, they're staying overnight for 3 to 4 days. Doesn't have to be a Baker Act. It could be anything. Okay. If you're not sure what a Baker Act is, it's suicidal ideations, impairment, where you believe you might self-harm, stuff like that. A very tough topic, but I want to present this to you because this is a disability channel. I want you to understand this, okay? I'm reading this mean comment here. Okay, anyways. All right, so this guy, and here's the thing too. Let me just I'm gonna go ahead and do this real quick. Hold on. Boop, there you go. I get people who hate on me, even though I released you guys information about laws, rules, regulations. The next video, we're literally going through all the things that the DOGE is going to be using against Social Security recipients. But there's always somebody who hates on me. And my thing is this, just a side note before we go into the specific jobs. I've been doing this channel so long. It's like 11-ish years, somewhere around there, that I have seen entire groups of types of people who hated me, but now are my biggest supporters. And they do that conversion because they realize the things I tell you about, the things that we go through mentally, they become true, or they become the reality that you need to go ahead and get to the next step. And, it's been a wild ride. It really has. Like the other video, we had somebody attacking me because I have student loans. Before that, we had somebody attacking me because I like music. And it just is what it is. YouTube allows people, usually with poor judgment, to seep in and say, how dare this person? How dare this person? What does he know? Well, when you represent as many disabled people as I do, and you've done it for as long as I have, you have a better understanding than most people. Now, I'm going to give you the jobs. These are the jobs that I want you to think about as to whether or not somebody who is mentally unsound should be able to do specifically as if they were doing this as a vocation for you. So if they were a surgeon, you would be the patient. Okay. Doctors, surgeons, paramedics, EMTs, nurses, you got ICU, you got trauma, ERs, anesthesiologists, psychiatrists, pharmacists, pharmaceutical research doctors. What about soldiers, police officers, SWAT team members, snipers, prison executioners, drone operators for military purposes, air traffic controllers, pilots, okay? Ship captains, structural engineers, nuclear power plant operators, okay? Judges in death penalty cases, or frankly, just judges on any actual, seated desk that are going to be deciding the fate of some person before them. Military commanders, lifeguards, firefighters, search and rescue teams. Okay, what about commercial truck drivers? What about dump truck drivers? What about prison guards? All of those positions are positions where we expect the individual to not be impaired in a way that their impairment would end our life or seriously injure us or even really just affect us. Now, I will say this. Let's go through the list here real quick. So, hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism. Here's the deal, right? Obviously, severe intellectual disability, the whole point of disability is to get those people away from the general population by giving them a check where they paid in via FICA taxes or didn't pay in, they go on SSI. So the point is to get that person away from society so that society can keep working so that the politicians can keep taxing all of the work of those people, right? A lot of people think it's, for the benefit of those who are disabled. That's total BS. It is for the benefit of the politicians to make the working class not be pulled to the side on things, but rather to stay focused on making more money that they can borrow money against. That's the reality. So another one, right? Psychiatric disabilities. You wouldn't expect those jobs to have that. However, dump truck drivers, there's not a lot of requirements to go ahead and be a dump truck driver. So they might have some sort of intellectual disability and been doing that job. With that said, partial paralysis, obviously some of these jobs, you could have very limited partial paralysis and still go ahead and basically do the job. However, a surgeon, you would not want them to have partial paralysis for the most part. Going over to, for example, epilepsy, seizures, things like that. Anybody that's driving anything, seizures, terrible idea. Obviously a horrible idea. It's a bad idea on a bicycle. It's a horrible idea in a car. It's an even worse idea in a dump truck. And it is astronomically stupid in a plane. You cannot have a captain with seizure problems. That's just the bottom line. Okay. Another thing, a lot of people have been talking about hearing, vision impairments. There's a whole scale to that. You have all types of technologies that can be installed into the side of your head, which is even part of the SSA regulatory requirements for listings, that would assist somebody to be able to hear properly to pass the test required to be that professional. Eyesight, they have all kinds of things that they're doing now, same gig. Dwarfism. Dwarfism is something that they specifically found an individual that has dwarfism. They got a bunch of quotes from him, put them into the media on the left side and said, okay, what do you think? He said, it's absolutely terrible, right? How could Trump say this? How could he say this? I just want to remind you guys basically of what happened with the U.S. Air Force. Okay. I have an article here. It's from Simply Flying, specifically from Mark Finlay. Explain why the U.S. Air Force removed its height requirements from prospective fighter pilots. Okay. Just a quick summary. The USAF removed the height requirements for pilot diversity. Get a waiver if you don't meet the height requirement. USAF needs to reach out to minorities for pilot recruitment. Now, when I think of DEI, I think of it as mostly two main categories. You have category one, which America has a weird fetish with, which is basically, those with brown or black skin color having to be thought of as some group that needs to be grabbed and lifted and lifted and lifted again. There are more brown and black individuals on TV that are celebrities than any other race at this point, right? You just go to any one of these channels that has a sports network on it, and boom, automatically the amount of millionaires and celebrities goes way up beyond everybody else. But again, America has a fetish with brown and black, right? How do we, do this? Now, what's happening is that the brown and black community, along with the Jewish community, because there's a big changeover going on with that as well. The Jewish community is the one that I come from, and there's a lot of these elections are very tough on the Jewish people. But the bottom line is this: you're seeing basically these individuals say, "Why do I need this person or this group to do things for me when I can do those things for myself?" And the classic thing is you have a bunch of YouTubers that are, black and brown who are saying, "What is it that this white person can do that I can't?" And the thing is, that's the reality. That's where we're ending up. We're ending up in a society that is erasing the need to do this for certain people and saying to them, "What can capitalism do for you?" And I'll be very clear. There are a lot of brown and black individuals on YouTube that are vastly wealthier than I am. Vastly. And there's a lot of reasons for that, right? They make amazing content that's more fun and exciting. B, they go ahead and do things where they go to events and check stuff out and they interview people at schools and stuff like that. The other thing, too, is that YouTube helps promote that content above other content based on race. But we are slowly moving away from this idea of content, right? Algorithm playing with. Because what we want is people will watch what they want to watch. That's what we're going into. Now, the other side of DEI, which America should have a fetish with, but they don't, is essentially disabled people and how DEI could help them. DEI is an amazing opportunity, a structured program for disabled people. We don't think of it that way because we mostly think of it as a race-based thing. DEI has so much potential for the disabled community. It has so much potential for how we can basically get people who are disabled to do jobs that normally they wouldn't be allowed to do. Now, are there jobs, right? Are there jobs who basically, they're just not going to go ahead and have options for? So if we took the individual who had dwarfism, right? And we said, okay, this gentleman has dwarfism. Can we put him in as a fighter pilot? We don't currently make fighter jets, not the old ones, not the new ones, that can support an individual that is under a certain height or over a certain height. So dwarfism, or if you're a giant, things like that. The bottom line is the fighter jet, the actual seat, the cockpit area will not work. But under Biden's system, let me read to you exactly what it was. They removed its height requirement for future fighter pilots. A statement from the USAF said that they were removing the restrictions to encourage a more diverse group of applicants. While this is good news, there's no escaping from the fact that the USAF has a shortage of pilots and that removing the height requirement could boost recruitment. But what are you going to put them in? I mean, sure, you could go ahead and have them doing auxiliary jobs, working on the jets, replacing parts, checking things, safety review, administrative. Sure. But they're saying they've got a problem with the amount of pilots they have. So let's go through this real quick, okay? Before the decision to remove the height requirements, regardless of gender, you had to be between 5'4". Okay, so here's your metrics, right? 5'4", okay, and 6'6". So 5'4" to 6'6", with a sitting height of 34 to 40 inches. Because remember, the way you sit, how high your hips are, how low your hips are, how long your legs are, that's important for how you fit in the cockpit. The average height of an American male is 5'9", which is what my height is. Okay, an American female is 5'4", in which all fit within the USAF height requirements. The USAF had this requirement because pilots needed to fit comfortably in the cockpit and be able to reach all the things necessary to fly the aircraft. Historically, the cockpits of all American military aircraft have been designed around the height of the average American male. Before scrapping the height requirements for fighter pilots, you had to meet the following parameters. You had to be taller than 5'4", shorter than 6 foot, or no taller than 6'4", have a sitting height of between 34 and 40 inches, and be able to fit comfortably in the cockpit, which is the whole weight requirement thing. All right. What Biden did was he said, look, we want to get rid of this, and now we will have a waiver option. You can apply for a waiver option if you are too tall or too short to be a pilot specifically for these things. Now, remember, some helicopters, some planes, some things, they allow you to go ahead and have more leg room, more height room, more this and more that. But when it comes to these particular fighter pilot jets that are designed to basically wage war at the highest level, there are restrictions. because you are designing billions of dollars into what little human body can fit inside that cockpit to fly that thing at high speed to fight wars on behalf of America. This is a classic example where dwarfism is not going to work. You give him a waiver, he's going to end up killing himself in that jet because he won't be able to reach all the things that he needs to be able to reach, which includes doing things with your feet, right? Reaching behind with your arms. Okay. A person with dwarfism can't do that. So what I'm pissed about is MSNBC, NBC, those types, they came out with this, this mantra against Trump about how dare he say this, but they didn't give any real analysis. It was purely just a puff bullshit piece of emotional crap that was pooped out on a piece of paper that ended up on the internet. And it disgusts me because they don't care about reality. They care about emotional twisting and making people feel like, well, we should maybe allow somebody with really bad PTSD to be a surgeon, even though they have flashbacks and violently attack people when having a flashback. We should consider, no, obviously not. But they don't do that. They don't report that. They just report a shit show of information to pull on your emotional strings and say, how dare they? How dare they make fun of disabled individuals? And so what upsets me is that it's a really complex topic. And this is what it boils down to for me. DEI, okay, this chair is going to fail me. I can feel it creaking again. DEI is a program that, because of America's lust for racial, need to play the race game. Because if you literally, do you ever think about this? If you took away the idea of different colored skin voting for different people, no politician would give a shit about race. They wouldn't mention it. They wouldn't talk about it. They wouldn't give a shit, even if it was horrible. Even if the atrocities against Asians or against, any group that you want, it could be a Pacific Islander on the smallest island that anybody lives. It could be anybody. It could be horrible atrocities for these individuals interacting with America. If the politicians didn't find a way to get votes out of it, they would never bring it up. On the other side, you have disabled individuals where DEI could be used to do incredible things. We could re-engineer a lot of functional tasks, a lot of computers to work with individuals to make them faster than the average person who's doing it. We could find ways to make technology work for the disabled so that they could have jobs and have better purpose in life. I'd still like to see them get a monthly benefit because they are impaired, but still, bottom line is, we could do that. We don't, because America doesn't care. America doesn't have that same fetish connection with the white versus black thing. And it's sad for me because it's like, if we had that, we wouldn't be in the spot that we're in. We would be in a spot where we would be promoting disabled people and their capacity to achieve and all the amazing things that they can do. And then did you ever think about this? Why is it that we have jobs, right? Where you feel like you have a hard time talking to HR because HR is going to stab you in the back about any impairment you might have. Why is it that we have jobs where we haven't figured out how to get people that are internal with that organization to be more useful to the disabled? Anybody? Cameraman said, $5 donation. Super thank you. Let me put a heart on that. If the federal government allows every disabled person to work, then wouldn't nobody qualify for Social Security disability until retirement? Thanks. So here's the thing. The federal government has a lot of programs set up to get disabled people to work, especially through the Ticket to Work program, which is that 5-year program. However, these are not higher executive level jobs. They're kind of like your intro, basic, anything from like a classic shopping store where they have clothing, stuff like that. So, think of like Goodwill-y types of jobs. So the point is, these jobs are very basic because they haven't invested the money and time to find ways to get disabled people to be competitive vocationally against those who are basically not or impaired. And our entire disability system, for the most part, being found disabled, the most way that most people are found disabled is through vocational allowances. They can't work a full-time job, therefore they can't survive in the United States, therefore we give them a check. That's how it works. But we'd have a lot less of that if we found a way to help people actually do these jobs. And it's just a tricky thing because America doesn't have that love. It doesn't have that fetish with helping people who need a little help outside of the race game. Because let's call it like it is. And I think what happened, and I think the Democrats realize this now, and the Republicans capitalized on it. But the Democrats basically realized that they can't use race as an underlying factor without being supportive to those races, right? They can't expect big donations from the Jewish population if they're going to constantly support things that attack, are aggressive, are negative towards the Jewish people. They can't go ahead and get, votes from the African American or the Island American or the black skin or the brown skin group, right? Because that particular group expects to have delivered positive results during that, presidency, which they didn't have. They didn't have that with Biden. Mark Vietti, thank you for the $10 donation. I super appreciate that. He said 100% correct as always, Walter. Thank you, good sir. So the point that I'm getting at with this, just so that you have a structured understanding, okay, is that Trump came out with the categories based off of what was on their website, right? He then say, look, these individuals cannot be working in this tower because obviously, right, you have to make sure that these individuals are quick, they understand the rules, they understand the regulations, they know how to communicate well through the system, they know the codes, they know how to speak aggressively, they know how to control themselves emotionally, they don't have limitations when it comes to eyesight, hearing, being able to speak, the special senses of the face. They have all of those. So the bottom line is this, just to be very clear, I think Trump is getting improperly attacked by the left. But again, this is how it works. This is how it works. Okay? They go after him. Sometimes they need to. Sometimes the left needs to be there to do it. This time they went after him and they didn't do the proper thing, which is outlining specifically why certain types of individuals, certain disabilities are not going to be successful at jobs that hold the life of somebody in their hand. Puerto Rican Mike, thank you for the $5 donation. He said, what is your 56-year-old? I was gridded out. Do I need to worry? So if you're 56, and I don't know what your top 5 impairments are, but keep in mind, however far back you were found disabled helps. So if you were found disabled 15 years ago, they got to go by the rules and regulations when you were found disabled 15 years ago. But bottom line is, usually around 63, they don't do as many CDRs, but they still do some. As long as you stay away from similar fault and fraud and continue to show that your impairments are the same in severity or worse, then you should be okay. All right, with that said, we've now gone over my thoughts related to this. I hope you understand that I get frustrated because I see the manipulation occurring from both the Republicans and Democrats related to disabled people. Nobody gives a shit about DEI for disabled, which bothers me. And at the end of the day, I think if we are truly realistic about this situation, we can learn something, which is that Legacy News is not doing their job, which is informing and educating the people about things that are going on. They're just twisting emotional bullshit. And at the same time, in my opinion, there needs to be a change. We need to focus less on racial DEI and more on disabled individuals and how DEI can actually work for them. Or if you want to call it something else, because DEI has become, this tarnished name, right? If you want to call it something else, call it something else. But figure out how we can get disabled people to have better rights, better solutions, better options, to have a vocational track. Because I'm telling you, as medicine increases and we get better at healing people, curing people, or at least reducing the symptoms that cause them to have issues, we need to also have on that chart the jobs available for those people with the techniques, the options for them to do things within those jobs already developed. All right. Royalty 72, thank you for the $2 donation. It's a big member right there. That's Diane. How is Shadow? Shadow is actually doing well. He's had a little bit worse this morning with his hip issues. So he's on his medication right now, but he should be doing a little bit better, hopefully by the end of the day. So anyways, everybody, you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. I will catch you a little bit later. Please remember to like and subscribe as we go through these details. The next video is going to be about the DOGE, which is, of course, through Trump's pick, which is Elon, for fixing the efficiency of the United States government. I'm going to be going through the details of that, not too far off. Give me about 10 to 15 minutes. We'll go ahead and start that video. Attorney Walter Hnot, please remember to like and subscribe. And also over here, go to Google and type in Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida. And please remember to throw some stars up there. I always love waking up to those, and they help me also go ahead and basically continue to make these videos. Now, in the not too distant future, very quick, We do have a mini halftime stage set up. It's not big. It's literally a chair with some guitar amps behind it. But we have a halftime stage set up. We're going to be having musicians in the future come in and actually play in between the videos, so you can have a mini halftime show for some nights when the artists are available. I'm really excited about it because you guys know I love music and I want to get back to it. Also, please remember, I usually go live on Mondays and Thursdays. I'm going to be switching that up with different days soon. And if you need me for a full hour, the bottom line is that basically there is a 1 hour private contract, like a little private session in the bio area below. And if you're on a TV, you got to click a few things to get to it, but that's what it is. All right. Anyways, I will catch you all a little bit later. You have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you in about 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll go from there. All right, everybody, I'll catch you soon, and thank you so much. All right, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.